What's up guys, it's Austin, and this is part 3 of my Traveling to Japan series. If you haven't seen parts 1 or 2, definitely check them out for days 1 through 3 and 4 through 6 of my trip to Japan. This video consists of days 7 through 8, where I visit Nagashima Spa Land, Mitsui Outlet Park. Before checking out of our hotel in Kyoto, we went up to the roof to look at the city. After checking out of our hotel at around 11 a.m., we took the train to Kyoto Station, where we spent about an hour and a half at the train station. We scheduled a time and chose seats for the Shinkansen to take us to Nagoya Station. We then picked up some food before waiting for our train. The total ride time from Kyoto Station to Nagoya Station was about 34 minutes. From Nagoya Station, we took a train to Kuwana Station, which took another 30 minutes. We then arrived in Kuwana at around 3 p.m. Exiting the train station, we spotted the large bus stop, which is where you can catch the bus to Nagashima Resort. And across the street from the bus stop was our hotel. We stayed at Sanko Inn, where we had to book 2 rooms as the maximum capacity was 2 people and there were 4 of us, but it was still cheaper and closer to the bus than some of the other nearby hotels. The room was extremely small, even for 2 people, but it was okay for the 2 nights that we had there. After checking in and dropping off all our luggage, we took the number 53 bus to Nagashima Onsen bus stop, which took 31 minutes. We then arrived at around 5 p.m. The bus stop was located at the back entrances to Nagashima Spa Land Amusement Park and the Mitsui Outlet Park. We decided to check out the information center for the amusement park, which to be honest wasn't really all that helpful, but we did get a map. We spent the rest of the day checking out some of the many shops at the outlet and eating dinner at the Jazz Dining Food Hall. The outlet closed at 8 p.m. while the amusement park closed earlier at 5:30 that day. The next day, we got up at around 8 a.m. and got on the bus at around 8:30 a.m. The bus took us to the back entrance of the park, where we then bought our tickets, which cost 5,800 yen each for adults, which gave us admission and unlimited rides on all the attractions for the day. There is also an after 3 p.m. ticket, which we didn't know about at the time, but that costs 4,100 yen for adults, although I'm not sure if they always sell it. Also, if you just want to enter the park, then that will cost 1,600 yen, but if you decide you want to ride, then each of the major roller coasters cost 1,500 to 2,000 yen per ride. We entered the park at 10:13 a.m., a little over 40 minutes after the park opened at 9:30 a.m. We walked over to Steel Dragon 2000 first, as I had heard that the park shuts the coaster down with even the slightest amount of rain or wind. But, just our luck, it started raining a little, which caused the park to have to shut down the coaster. We walked over to Hakou to see if it was still open, but it had also closed, and we slowly got announcements saying that all the different rides were closing. We then checked the weather app, and it showed that there was low chances of rain in our area within the next hour, so we decided to wait by Hakou, and luckily, after waiting about 20 to 30 minutes, the park reopened all the rides and it didn't rain again until the park had closed. Finally, we were able to get on our first ride of the day, Hakou. Just got off Hakou, and that ride is great. It's probably one of the best I've ever ridden. The ride is like non-stop fast, and every element packs a punch. It's very powerful. The ride instantly became one of my favorite roller coasters that I've ridden, with its powerful airtime hills and whippy inversions. Also, just the colors of the wood and steel track are very pleasing to look at. After riding Hakuge twice in a row, we then walked over to Steel Dragon 2000 and rode it twice in a row. From the first 318-foot drop to the back-to-back-to-back airtime hills, which conclude the ride, Steel Dragon 2000 was a lot of fun to ride. The park was pretty empty, but the operations were very slow, with most of the roller coasters only running one train, and with Steel Dragon 2000, which is the longest roller coaster in the world, at least in terms of track length, it can take a really long time to get on the ride, even with a short line. Next, we rode an Ultra Twister, called Ultra Twister, which is a type of roller coaster that doesn't currently exist anywhere else in the world aside from Japan. I can say for certain that it was a very unique and mostly fun ride experience. Just got off the Ultra Twister. They only exist in Japan from what I understand. And there's one part midway through the ride where you hit the brakes and it's okay at first, and then you slam into it and it almost like knocks out the wind out of you. That ride is crazy. We then rode Arashi, a 4D spinning coaster, which is a pretty common roller coaster in the US, but I had never ridden one, so it being my first one, I was excited to try it. The out-of-control feeling you get from the spinning was very fun, and took my family by surprise. I found it to be pretty fun, but I could see it being just okay if it doesn't spin as much on some rides. I rode my first 4D free spin roller coaster, and it wasn't as bad as most people say, I don't think. Yeah, I guess it just depends on how much you spin on your ride. We then rode Steel Dragon 2000 again. So having ridden Steel Dragon twice, the second time I definitely noticed a bit of a vibration in the seats. That kind of gives you a bit of a headache. If you lean forward a little bit, it won't affect you as much, but it's definitely there. So I would definitely also say that Steel Dragon's second half is much better than the first half. So you get tons of little airtime hills. This brake run is absurdly loud. Probably the loudest I've ever heard. So these are the crowds on a Sunday in July. Pretty empty. We next walked over to Acrobat, the park's flying coaster, which is basically a mere clone of Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. Acrobat was of course fun, but if I had to choose, I think I enjoyed Manta at SeaWorld Orlando a little bit more because the scenery is a bit nicer and I think it's a little smoother. In case you're wondering where you might be able to put the stuff you bring, pretty much every attraction has a free locker near or at the station. You put on a bracelet which holds the key to your locker. They use handheld metal detectors at the station of all the thrill rides. They check you right before you get on, so if you attempt to bring a loose article on the ride, they will find it. We then rode Corkscrew, which is a small and short coaster, which was alright. Next, we rode Hakuge again, before going to eat at the Nagashima Park restaurant, which had decent food, but closed soon after we had entered, at around 3 p.m., which seemed a bit early to close. Once we finished eating, we rode one of the two basic Wild Mouse coasters that are mere clones of the same ride right next to each other, which is pretty odd if you ask me. Either way, it was pretty fun. Finally, we went back to ride Hakuge, which we ended up riding 5 more times for a total of 8 rides. We tried to ride Steel Dragon one more time before the park closed, but they had already closed the line about 20 minutes early, same as with Hakuge. So we instead quickly walked over to the massive Ferris wheel, which happened to still be open, and got on, so that we could see and take pictures of the park from above.
Crowded places, feel it sinking in. Lonely faces, say you need a friend. No matter control. You should know that I won't leave you. I'll stay beside you. I'm never letting you go.
It's raining again. But the park's already closed anyway, so Ferris wheel was the last ride. Park opened at 9:30, closed at 5. Rides closed about a half hour before that, or most rides, the roller coasters. Staff was super friendly. Definitely check out the park. Before exiting at the front entrance of the park, we stopped at the main gate shop to pick up some souvenirs, which was good as there was nowhere which sold any outside of the park.
I got enough of every melody, they all sound the same. Yeah. For my broken heart, no remedy, but maybe if you stay, we can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. Ooh. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good.
We ended up eating dinner at the Mitsui Outlet Park right outside the park in the swing food court, which had lots of different options.
Now let me fall back. But you'll be there, ready to rescue me if I go out of track. You can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions.
That's the end of part 3 in my Traveling to Japan series. If you enjoyed, please drop a like, subscribe for more. Part 4 will consist of day 9, where I go to Nagoya Castle, and back to Tokyo, where I go to Team Labs and Shibuya Sky. Thanks for watching. Peace.
What's on the other side?